Now for our loads, we're going to start off, we're going to try to do them as easy as possible. And if you look at your picture, you can see you have actually 3 UDL loads. Actually, sorry, 4. So you're going to start with your 4 loads, 4 UDL loads first, because they're easiest. So your first one, you're going to have a UDL load under live, and it's going to be negative 8 kilonewtons. You're going to go under your UDL tool, which is your global projected load tool. Right click on it. You're going to come down and you're going to put negative 8 because it's pushing down. Okay, and it's live, so you're going to color coordinate it with red. And it's going to be in the Y because it's pushing down. If you put in the X, it'll be pushing left or right. Click OK, and there is your 1 UDL load going across the top. Now we're going to go to our second UDL load, which is over here. This one's going to be under dead, and it's going to be negative 3. We're going to change the color, go to negative 3, click OK, and we're going to throw that in. Next, we're going to go to our wind, and that load's going to be a negative 3 on one side and a negative 1 on the other, under the same tool, except there's one difference. Where we're going to change the color, but also it's not going to be in the Y direction, it's going to be in the X direction. So we're going to click OK, we're going to come over here, we're going to click on it, and there's our negative 3 load. Now, there's also a shortcut. Instead of coming back over here, because we're in the same tool, and right-clicking on this tool, you can also just manually come up here, click on your negative 3, and switch it to negative 1. Come down here and input your load here, and there's your load. But you can only do this when it's the same type of load, with the same type of parameters with it. So next, those are all the UDL loads. Next, we're going to move on to the other loads. So since we're under wind, we'll continue to put wind loads on. So the next load we're going to put on is going to be our local load tool. This one's a little tricky because there's a little glitch with S-frame with it. So we're going to come down, we're going to click on our local Y. We're under wind, so it's going to stay green. It's going to be, the load's going to be a positive one, not a negative one, because it's an up force. And we're going to come over and we're going to click OK. Notice how I clicked on Y local here, and it says X local up here. When I click on OK, this X local should change to Y local. But in this case, it doesn't. So you have to manually switch it to Y local. Then you come over here, you click on the member, and your load comes up. If you don't do that and switch that to Y local, your load's going to be going into your joint and not into your member. Then when you come onto the other side, the load changes, and it changes into a negative 2. Now instead of going back into the tool over here, again, you can use a shortcut, and this way you don't mess around with the Y local tool again, and you just come over here and you change your load to what the other value is, which is negative 2. You click on it, and there's your other wind load. Now we're going to switch to dead loads. And the next load we have is going to be a global load tool. We click on our global load tool, we come over and we're going to input a negative 3 value. And we're going to make sure it's in the Y. And because it's dead, we're going to change the color of it. And we're going to click OK. And we're going to input that load. And it's the same load on the other side. Next, we're going to put in this load's a little trickier. It's still under the UDL tool. It's a live load, but it's going to be, it's under global projected load, and it's going to be partial varying. So we're going to change the color to red. We're going to stay in the Y, and also you can do it under relative or you can do absolute. I prefer absolute, but relative is just as easy. So it's an absolute, and we're going to do this member here. From here to here. Except there's two members in there. So you have to start off by doing only half. So in this case, you're going to go 0 to half of what this whole entire UDL is at joint A, at joint 5, which is going to be 0 to 18 kilonewtons. And then for member 6, it's going to go from negative 18 kilonewtons to negative 36 kilonewtons. So member 5 will be 0 to negative 18 kilonewtons. And then member 6 will be negative 18 to negative 36. Also, the distance for them will be over 4 meters, not 8, because that's the span of the member. So we input our numbers, make sure everything's in the right directions, click OK, come over, and we have 0 to negative 18. Now you can go back to the same tool and do it again that way, or you can try using this little shortcut, but take your time with it because you don't want to mess it up. Up here you have 0 kilonewtons. You can change that now to negative 18. And where you had negative 18, you can change that now to negative 36. And then come back down, click on your member, and there's the rest of that load. Now we're going to continue on with the joint loads. And our joint loads are under live and dead. The live load is negative 30, and it's on joint 5. And the dead load is negative 20. And now we're going to move on to a concentrated load tool, which is both dead and live. That's right here. You have to use this tool. When you right click on it, you have your concentrated load tool. This load is this load here, which is over 15 meters, or 1.5 meters. And it's a concentrated load, concentrated point load. Now, when we enter this in, we know that the distance from one side to the other is only 1.5 meters. Or you can put it in relative, but I prefer absolute. So when you come over here to input your absolute value, there's a little glitch with S-frame also. We're in absolute down here, and it says X over L. Well, that's not right. It's actually supposed to say meters. So if you click on relative, it'll actually give you X1 over L. And if you go back and you click on absolute, it'll give you meters, which is the right value it's supposed to give you. So we know it's over 1.5 meters, and the load for dead is going to be 10 kilonewtons, so negative 10. And we're going to put it in the Y global direction, and we're going to change it to a blue, or a dead load color. Click OK, click on the member, and there's our load. Now we're going to input our live load, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go over here and click on this side, only because we want to change the color. And again, it's on absolute, but if you notice, the X and L is down here, and absolute is supposed to say meters, not XL, right? Even though all the values look right, it's still giving you a funny number down here. So you change your Y global, click on relative, then absolute, and now you have meters again. You're going to change your load to the live load, which is negative 25. Then you're going to click OK. You're going to drop your load, and
That's what she said.
And you inputted all your loads now. Now you can just come up and click run and see how it works. You save OK, and you can call your file name problem set 2 S2 like this one, or you can call it problem set 2 revised. Now, You inputted one load combination, it shows up. It inputs all your load cases, they show up, so you know exactly what you put in. It tells you if you have any errors or warnings or FYIs, and you don't have any, which means you did a good job and everything's right. Click on the spacebar, and now you can proceed to read your data.